everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
DC homeowner claiming an Airbnb guest has overstayed their welcome and will not leave.
The alleged squatter originally got into the home through Airbnb, claiming that her apartment caught fire and it needed time to get repairs. Now that was back in February.
Someone will book an Airbnb with full intentions of squatting, and it can be almost impossible to get them out. You're forced to have to evict them out. Picture this. A homeowner in Washington, D.C. lets a guest stay for what's supposed to be a short stay, but then it spirals into something else. The guest told the homeowner she needs just 30 days. She booked via Airbnb in February of this year. After 30 days, she did not leave. Under D.C. law, once someone pays in exchange for staying somewhere, courts may treat that person as a tenant, even without a lease. That means full tenant protections kick in.
What it do, everyday people, man? It's your boy PJ. Today we back with another lit video back in the confessional. Yes, we're saying lit, big dog. Now, as you may be aware, this is a video of a homeowner who decided to rent out her apartment or complex, duplex, whatever, her dwelling over Airbnb. And a lady who claimed to her house being on fire occupied this residence for just over 30 days, where she paid for it. And that's it, all she said she needed, but then she took longer. Well, this has been a problem in DC for about 6 years. A squatter that is physically present on the property and treating it like they're the owner, the squatter may handle maintenance requirements and make improvements to the home during this time, and could even document this work to make it a better case for them to obtain the property. And this is exactly what this lady did. She changed out furniture, changed the bills into her name, and so on. So now she's taking actual possession of the property.
All of the responsibilities are on me, and I can't get into my property. There's a leak in the property. The water bill is escalating. I can't get in there to see what's going on. I never gave her any tenancy. I never gave her a lease. November the 15th came and she told me, this no longer works for me. Do what you have to do. I'm not leaving. I went to the police with my order, and they said there's nothing that they can do, that I need to go to court, which I've done, and I do not have a court date until December the 11th. It's shocking to me that you would abuse a system like that. Well, the police allowed her to hire a locksmith and break in. She gave them no documents. She gave them no court orders. She gave them no lease. She just came and said, I'm locked out. This is taking me somewhere where I'm not trying to be. I'm trying to stay on the right, but for somebody to just take and do, everybody has a breaking point.
And the sad part is, I feel sorry for her. I really do. But your problem is, I can't help you. But I do truly feel sorry for her and her child and all of this. And I have a big heart, and this is the outcome of me having a big heart. But I really hope somebody can help her, but you can't do it at my expense. I don't have it. If the judge doesn't give me some release, I'm gonna lose my property, because I can't pay $4,000 a month and my other bills and my responsibilities like this. And there's no recourse for me.
Okay, y'all. So I have not made a real estate Airbnb video in a while, right? But I have plenty of videos here on my page, also on another platform, lots of free videos. I used to mentor people, host classes. I don't anymore, but let me just talk about it. So there's a homeowner in DC that put her home on Airbnb. This lady rented it for 32 days. After the 32 reservation was up, the woman refused to leave. She has now been in this homeowner's home for over 10 months, not paying rent, not paying utilities. The homeowner has tried everything to get this woman out, calling the police, turning off utilities, all the things. She has not been able to get this woman out. She has a court hearing next month. Hopefully they rule in her favor to evict this woman, but it can be a nightmare. So I say all of that to say this. If you're going to get into Airbnb, or I used to say short-term or mid-term rental business, you have to really do your research and educate yourself on the real estate laws in your city and in your state, right? When I hosted Well, I hosted in a lot of different places, but primarily in Baltimore, right, where I am, I understood at what point can a person become a resident, right? When does that happen? When does that occur? Right? So you can try to prevent it. And if I was going to host anyone over 30 days, there was extra steps and an extra process that I went through to verify why they were going to be here. Right? When I hosted anyone over 30 days, it was nobody but traveling medical professionals. I used to be a travel nurse, so I understand the industry. Right? No travel nurse or no travel healthcare professional is going to squat on me. They're going to do their 3 months, 6 months, whatever it may be, and they're moving on to the next city or they're going home. They're not going to squat. Like, no, they're trying to make money. So I understood that business because I used to be in it, right? I used to be a travel nurse. And so those were the only individuals that I hosted on a longer term basis, because that's still considered a midterm rental, 3 months, 6 months, right? And so wherever you're hosting, please understand the real estate laws. Is it landlord friendly or tenant friendly? Get you a real estate attorney. Get you some contracts beforehand. Establish some type of relationship with the attorney beforehand and get you contracts, because if you are going to host somebody longer than 30 days, you need to have some paperwork involved, right? That people understand that they are not establishing residency here. Okay. Don't let people get mail. Like, you have to really educate yourself on the business that you're getting into, or you could pay a very high cost. Right?
Hey, shout out to the multiple streams queen for that valuable information. What Airbnb tenants need to have whenever they're renting out for long-term people. So basically what they're saying is if anybody is there for anything other than business, you should not rent to them for a long-term rental. Meaning at that point, if they're going to be there for 30 days, you should have them, sign contracts, get basically to let them know that they're not going to be staying there they're not going to be maintaining and dwelling or something like that, whatever they call it, whenever you live in a space that you're not supposed to be in. But just make sure you have the right contracts in place, and that's some very valuable information. I was intrigued because I want to become a Airbnb host, because I stayed in an Airbnb recently and I was like, this ain't so bad. Only thing is they didn't have a microwave, which was effing stupid. But other than that, it was a very nice place. And then, like, the neighbors, it was something different because the neighbors were over there and they were being loud, but there was rules on the refrigerator that said don't be loud, and they were being loud and drunk, and you could tell it was a white girl over there and she was dating a black guy because they had a Dodge Charger, which was like damn. And then she was saying like weird stuff that I was like, ugh. So then it was like all good until they started like having sex at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I was just like, oh God, I could, like, they was just dropping shit. I mean, it was just a horrible experience. But anyway, the Airbnb still looked nice though. So I was like, no more duplex Airbnbs for me. Like, okay. Like, just give me a single home, okay? And that's sometimes I'd rather choose a hotel for those reasons, because a lot of times you can't hear your neighbor like that. But apparently these two were drinking all night and watching the Ohio State game. I know because I was watching it too, and it was like every time uh, Ohio State would do something, they were like, "Oh yeah." But I know they were salty at the end. They was probably cussing each other out because Ohio State lost. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's get into some more action about this Airbnb squatter, and let's see what the actual Airbnb squatter had to.
In February of this year, I moved into the unit initially through an Airbnb. There was a month agreement, which I paid for on the Airbnb platform due to a fire.
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
Which I then asked the owner if we could extend the time frame in the home. We came to an agreement that I could do that. She sent me monthly invoices, which I paid those monthly invoices in order to stay in the unit. I had a month where I had a financial loss of over like $17,000.
Was that due to work or personal?
It was a personal.
Oh my God.
Issue. I helped someone in the past and it came back to bite me because everyone can see, you can search me because I'm not hiding from anyone. So they were able to find me, and then I was held liable for something I helped someone do. So that put me in a financial strain, but either way, I paid. I still made the payment. I made the payment late because I had the issue. I'm sorry, I'm emotional. I didn't mean to get emotional.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you
We don't care.
Speak clearly. The financial thing was, like I said, almost $17,000. So it sent me into a depression. Prior to me going out of the country, well, actually, I was going to make a payment on the 15th of October. On the 15th of October, my daughter's car, her steering wheel locked while she was driving, and I had to get to her because she was on the roadway, and the issue I needed to make sure that she was safe and get her resolved. That took me past the hours of bank hours, so I didn't make my payment on that day because the bank had closed. I had the emergency situation with my daughter. The next day I went to retrieve the funds for the payment because I was going out of the country and I wanted it, taken care of while I was gone. But it wasn't. The money was lost. I wasn't aware of that.
Oh my God, stop fucking lying.
I came back, and so the 15th was the day the payment was due. 16th, I went out of the country. When I went out of the country, because I had just had that big financial loss, I turned all of my phones off because I was trying to decompress from, what I had been experiencing. And I didn't turn my phones back on until later that Monday. When I came into the property on that Monday, so that's maybe 6 days after the rent was due, the electricity to the home had been cut off. And at that point, that's when I was made aware that the payment had not been made. I then called Pepco to figure out, at first I thought maybe it was a power outage. So first I called Pepco, found out it wasn't a power outage and that the owners had turned off they had turned off the electricity. So then the electricity was turned on so that we could have power. They turned the power back off because they said I had no right to turn the power on. I went to the courthouse that following day to file an emergency hearing because they had turned the power off, and I didn't want them to be able to turn the power off again. No point prior to this did I state anything about tenant rights. Was I worried about anything about tenant rights? Because up until that point, everything was being paid every month. Even if it was paid 2 days late, it was paid. After that, we've now progressed to the point where they come to the home almost every other day. I called the police. The police informed them that I was a resident or a tenant here. She said that we didn't have a lease, which we do not have a lease in place, but we did have an agreement for me to stay at the property beyond the initial Airbnb time frame. So she has been back to the property almost every day. They installed signs. The police told me that I could take down the signs because they were not legal signs issued by the court. They were signs that she had just had made in an attempt to try to harass me more and force me out of the property sooner. I told them that I could not be out of the property within a short period of time because I had just had that financial issue, but that I would go through this process that DC has to assist people who have had financial issue in order to pay the rent. Informed that I would go through that, and that while they were going through the legal process while they initiated the legal process, because they had never initiated the legal process before to like have me moved from the property, that I would ensure that everything was paid. And then it's just been a continuance of them, the police and you coming to the home, and the power is currently off. So, yes.
Although some of the things that she is saying may have been some of the events that have happened in her life, but these are not tragic events. It seems to me these are all events that, when one domino falls, the rest of them fall right after because they're touching each other and one reaction creates a chain reaction. I believe that is exactly what we're seeing right here. So, as she may play herself as the victim of somebody's, doing her wrong or misusing their home or whatever she may lie and say that these uh owners to these properties are claiming on her, it's her. It's absolutely her. She knows what she's doing, and this is like narcissistic behavior. And at the same time, it's like, she's a scammer, and she's one of those people that love to get over on people, and that's what she's doing. She's getting over on these homeowners. She knows exactly what she's doing. And right now she's playing a victim, but she has a few more things to say in this interview. So let's get to the end of it, and then I want you to give me your thoughts. And pretty much what I want you to do is, if you have something to say on this video, uh, send me a 30-second video to my Instagram, Everyday Thing with PJ, and I'll play your video in my upcoming video. So yeah, whatever you have to say on this video, send me a message, and then I'll put it in my next one. Thank you, everyday people. Like, comment, and subscribe, and continue to watch and see what this woman has to say.
I heard you mention the tragedies of financial loss. I do know also when I went through the court records, the messages between you two, the Airbnb reservation, things like that. I heard you say there were payments, but transaction-wise, there was nothing for nearly 9-10 months. July. Good evening, Felicia Ashley with ABC7 with an update on the Airbnb guest turned accused squatter. What I found out, if you remember during my interview with her a few days ago, she stated that she was not evicted from her previous property and claimed that it was another property. Well, even as I was sitting down with her, I already knew what court records said, and I also confirmed that in our report today, that it shows that she was evicted not just once but twice from 2 prior DC properties before she booked Roshane Douglas's Airbnb. In fact, at one unit, she was evicted for not paying rent, and then she moved into the second apartment just a few days after. And then in the midst of that eviction process at the second property, there was a fire that happened in just her unit in that building, and she requested a stay or a delay for that eviction because of that fire, because she said insurance had to get inside and look at the damage. Now, in the midst of that eviction process is when she booked Roshane Douglas's Airbnb. In addition to that, I also found a history of issues when it comes to payment in Maryland as well as in Virginia. In Maryland, she has a case where it's alleged that she only paid a down payment for a vehicle and then never made any further payments on that car. Of course, this is a continuously developing story. They still have courts later this week where we will bring you the latest details. In addition to that, we have wanted to reach out to Shadija Romero again, but she has stated since these discoveries happened that after this, she's no longer speaking with us. Well, with sources within district government and learned after seeing our reports, local leaders and lawmakers are discussing changes on how to define tenants and landlords in the district. I also spoke to DC Council Chairman Phil Mendelson about my reporting on the accused squatter and homeowners back and forth.
I've seen some of the reports. I think it's pretty shocking what they've revealed. To me, it's this pattern. It's not just one situation, but the fact that The allegations are situation after situation, apartment building after apartment building. To me, it seems that there's intent, and that's why I've said I think that it's more than just the traditional landlord-tenant situation. It's more than just a civil matter. I can't help but think that there's some criminal implications.
You mentioned that you are going to leave, but you're going to go through the court process.
No.
Okay.
No. I'm going to leave before the court process finishes, but we are still going to go through the court process.